a few more people joining, but I'll just let them in when we get going. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're so glad you're here to talk about designing for social media using Canva. I'm Patty Mercer. I'm a graphic designer with CALS Communications. I'll be moderating this session. There will be a question and answer time at the end. So please put your questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. Before I turn this over to Leanne and Caro, I want to just quickly touch base on the NC State branding guidelines. You should have received a link when you registered to the CALS brand book, which is just another way of looking at the NC State brand that you can find on the NC State website. It's just a flip book, kind of easier to read. It also includes some downloadable, excuse me, links. So the main reason that we design according to the NC State brand, besides the fact that we have to, is that we want to maximize and leverage the power and the reputation of the university. When we do that, it really lends credibility to our work. So I hope that you will keep that in mind, get familiar with the brand if you're not already, and please reach out to me about it if you have any questions. I'm available anytime. And with that, I'll turn it over to Leanne.
Yay! Hi, everyone. I am Leanne Vineset. If you don't know me, I did one of these last year, and I'm going to go into kind of what we did very briefly last year, in case you weren't there. Here's the recording. It is on YouTube. I do not watch it because I do not like to watch myself. It's very embarrassing, but it covers a lot of great stuff, especially if you're new to Canva or never have opened it before. It also has a brand review. This was pre-brand book, so it's a lot easier to look through the brand book, but if you want an in-depth tutorial on how to do Canva and branding, it's in there. It also has a tour of our CalsCom Canva, which is open to everyone and has our login. And then it also has some live demos of going through Instagram stories, how to make those. And then there also is some social media tips at the end of that presentation. And it's right here. And I'll make sure that all the links and everything in this presentation is shared with everyone after. If you weren't there, here's the quick and dirty rundown. Basically, just like Patty said, everything that you're making, especially in Canva, should be on brand and should look and feel like NC State. There's ways to put all of our fonts, our colors, our logos, icons, all of that into Canva. And I know that Canva templates are a great starting point. That's the whole point of Canva, but that way, once you choose a template, you can brandify it so it looks and feels like us and not like something that was made in Canva that millions of other people are using. My other tip, it's so easy with Canva and those templates to kind of overcomplicate designs and kind of get decorative. But one of our brand standards is minimal and clean and, a lot of white space, a lot of open space. So remember that when you're doing things. I think it's easy to be like, oh, this is, cute. And there are moments especially I think Instagram stories and Day of Giving is when I'm like, oh, I can put a little bit more fun into this graphic and have a little bit more fun with it than just rigid brand standards. But just remember that as you're going in Canva and designing things. I also think Canva has a lot of things that you can produce, but it's really best for digital assets. I use it most often for digital billboards and email banners, but it's also great for I just mentioned Instagram stories, social stuff. I don't think it does that great with print. And I really wouldn't recommend it for print assets. But if you're ever unsure about something or you just have any type of Canva question, please hit us up. Our emails are in this presentation. I would love to help you out. Just ask. My next thing is, again, Canva has a ton of resources, especially the design school is a great one if you've never used Canva before. It's step-by-step tutorials. It has basically everything you could ever want to know. And they also do events. I'm really excited about this What's New Wednesday, where it's probably basically what I'm going to do today in this session is showing you new features of Canva, tips of how to use stuff, how to be more efficient in your workflow. And then I did this after the last session last year, but I'm going to be hosting some one-on-one office hours with me. That way, if you are oh, I really wanted to get to this in your presentation, but we didn't get to, or I'd love if you took a look at this design, or I have questions about XYZ, that's your time to do it one-on-one with me. Or if you want to bring in more of your team, I'm happy to meet with whoever needs to. So I'm doing that tomorrow and then next Friday. And the link again is in here, but we'll send out another email after this session as well. Okay, with that, I'm going to dive into all the new features. The first thing I'm going to do is non-AI tools, and then the next section is going to be AI tools, and we'll get into all the artificial intelligence stuff that Canva has to offer. And I'm also going to go out of my full screen mode and kind of show you the back end of Canva for most of this presentation, just because I think it's easier to learn when you're actually seeing it in action. So I apologize for all of the other things that are popping up everywhere. But the first tool is it's a view layers tool. So it shows you all of the objects on the page, and instead of like having to click each object and then reorienting the layer order individually, you can do this by like clicking and dragging. So you just go here to the layers panel. And then, like I said, instead of doing this every single time I want to move it, I can just go to show layers. It'll pop up here on the side, and then it'll show me every object on the page. It'll show me also overlapping objects. So I've got some overlapping objects here, and it'll show me all of those. And then it also shows you groups, which is really nice. So you can move the entire group at once. And you can't really see that change, but now it's in front. Now it's behind. It's just more of an efficiency thing. I think it's not like, oh, revolutionary, but once you're moving a lot of stuff, and especially I think when you have like text, image, and squares, it's really helpful. The next thing, curved text. I haven't actually used it before, but as I was preparing for this, I saw like, oh, curved text, that's cool. You could do some interesting stuff with it. I will say use caution when using it, just because it is curved text. So it should be used sparingly with non-essential text, because it can, readability, if this is your headline, is not going to be great, but I think it could be interesting for like, again, like an Instagram story. So basically what you do with this is you just add an effect. I already have it on there, but curve right here at the bottom. And then you see it gives you this arch, and you can play with how you want it to look. So 100 is like the most curved it can get. And then obviously you can play with, in the spacing panel, the letter spacing as well to give you a different effect. Are there any questions so far? We're moving to this. Is speed good? Too quick? Too slow? I'm gonna take silence as reinforcement. Great. This is not necessarily a design feature, but it is something I've used recently in a workshop presentation. Is Canva Live. It's basically an interactive like presentation tool, I guess is the best way to say it. And it's basically where you can see your audience's questions, sort of like Zoom on the side as you're actively presenting. So it works best for in-person, because, I wouldn't use it on Zoom since I already have the chat feature on Zoom. But what you do is you go over here to present, and you have to do presenter view. Hopefully this will work on Zoom. So if you can't see this, someone needs to let me know. But you'll get like an audience window. Obviously you can show your audience that on an extended desktop. And then right over here, so I'm having to move all my things, is Canva Live, and you can start a new session. It'll give you that 6-digit code, and I'm gonna utilize my phone here for a second. Anyone can type in canva.live into their browser and then put in that code, which is 149. Y'all don't have to do this, by the way. I'm just going to show you. And then if I was in the audience and I asked a question, it'll pop up right here. So all of your audience questions can pop up, and it's really nice to be able to like not have to manage a ton of stuff at once, and it all just be as you're presenting. People can also upvote these, so you can see if like someone has the same question, it'll rise to the top. And now I have to figure out how to, there we go. I'm just going to exit it really quickly. That way y'all don't have to see that the whole time. The next feature, I don't know how new this is in Canva, but it's new to me at least. So I figured I would do it. It may be cool if you're like teaching or brainstorming with the team. It's basically like a Google Jamboard, but it's called whiteboards in Canva. And you can use like sticky notes. You can assign tasks. So if I wanted to give someone a task based on a sticky note, I would do a comment and then you just at them and say, hey, do this, assign it to them, and they get an email about that. So you do have to kind of set up a Canva team here to use this feature. And I don't know, I think Google Jamboards is probably a little bit easier with all of us having, the same email systems, but it's there if you needed to use it. The last one, I know there was a specific question on this, and I'm not going to go too in depth with it just because I haven't personally used it and don't have like a business Instagram account to hook it up to, but you are able to content plan and basically post your designs directly from Canva to your social media. It's only for pro users, and you do have to have like Facebook business, Instagram business. Here is a in-depth 5-minute demo that Canva did that really does walk you through it better than I could. But if you need to just get to the first step, it's right here on share, and then you go share on social, and it walks you through how to connect those pages. And then this video walks you through how to schedule your post. I will say I don't believe that you can schedule stories, and I'm gonna kind of throw some of this to Kara. I don't know how much they know, but I don't think you can schedule stories with it. I think you still have to manually post those.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's all the non-AI tools that I'm gonna go through today. Is there any questions on any of those so far?
Hey, this is Amanda. I asked a question in the chat, but I'll just say it. I was wondering for the Canva Live, do you know if they have the polling option where
I haven't seen it. I think there may be a way. Canva has all the like plugin apps. I think there may be a way to connect a poll there, but it's not currently built into Canva Live itself. I think it will eventually come just because it is such a popular feature and a requested feature, but it's not currently part of it. You would have to connect like another polling, like a Slido or something like that into your Canva presentation.
Okay,
unfortunately. Yeah. Anyone else? Going once, twice? Perfect. So onto the bulk of this presentation is going to be about AI tools. And on that, I'm going to give everyone just a blanket AI warning so that, all of this technology is super new, is super rapidly advancing. I feel like it's everywhere in the news. I'm seeing AI stuff literally everywhere I go. And just a reminder that if you're using it, you should be using it mindfully, carefully. NC State doesn't have any official guidelines that I've seen yet. If you've seen any, please send them to me. I'm very interested to know. I think they are coming, but we still need to be cautious kind of working in this like artificial intelligence space that hasn't really been defined yet and is also new. I put in some articles that I really like about like ethical AI and content creation and original content and how AI is like a collaborator and like crediting and all of that stuff is in these articles. And I'm sure you can find a ton more, but I'm going to show you all of this stuff, but I'm also going to give you a caveat to be careful when using all of this stuff. So there's that. So the first one is Magic Edit, and all of these start with magic. So forgive me if I get confused when I'm talking about them, but hopefully you can read the slide and figure out what I'm saying if I mess it up. This one is their AI tool to modify photos with adding or replacing elements. I'll show you a live how to get to it, but all of the steps again are here if you need to go back and reference this. Bless you.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had my.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So here's how you add stuff into this. So for this photo, this is just a Canva stock photo, and I was like, okay, what if I wanted some cows grazing in this photo? You go over here to edit photo and then to Magic Edit. It also, this is worth mentioning, it's in beta. So that means that like there are certain features that they're still testing that they still need feedback on. And I believe it actually gives you when you generate like a little thing that says like, doesn't look right, you can report this. So note that down as well. So how you would add stuff is like, if you wanted to add cows into this area, you brush over it. You can change the brush size. You can reset if you're like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. And then you say, oh, here's what I want in this image. So just because this is the only thing I could think of, you can do cows grazing. It does take a second. So I'm going to kind of try to stall here while it does its thing and it thinks, but we'll get 4 images right here and be able to generate new ones if we don't like any of the ones they've given us. Here we go. So here's our first one. The others are loading, but you can see it's added some cows into this. Some of them are better than others. And I will say, like, I'm going to go into all the warnings and stuff in just a second, but like, you can obviously tell that this was additive and not part of the original photo. So you have to kind of use your discretion on like, which one of these is best, which one of these looks, you know, the most realistic, like all of that. If none of them do, I recommend just generating new results. I'm just going to keep this one in the interest of time. But I'm also going to show you kind of like some things when it doesn't work. I think like the cows in this one are pretty good, but I've had some results where the cows have no heads and you can very obviously tell. I've had some results where like you can see, this one's pretty good too. You can see the edges of the grass that it's tried to blend. One's really blurry and one's really high res. So just be mindful that it's a new technology, it's evolving, and it's not going to be like photorealistic always, and you have to watch it. I won't demo this one. Well, maybe I will. And I was looking at time. I'm trying to make sure that I have enough time for questions at the end. But you can also replace stuff. So you can like take this whole microscope out if you need to. And then if I wanted like a plant in a beaker, hopefully I spelled that right, I can generate that as well. So just going to let it load here for 1 second. Stalling again. It'll do the exact same thing though, but this one I will say with replacing an object, it's always a little bit harder than adding something into a blank canvas, just because it has to not only blur it out, but then add something back in. Here's the little disclaimer I was talking about it being in beta and this technology being new and improving. There we go. So yeah, it replaced the whole microscope.
I just want to say one thing real quickly, Anne, that to point out that the resolution on these AI generated images is really pretty low. So you really only want to use these in digital, like for social, and definitely not for print at the time. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So again, there's the plant that's replaced. Just like Patty just said, these are not really for print. I would honestly be careful even using them for like I think like a news feature image, I think would be even like a little bit towing the line, just because it is going to be such a large thing on a screen. I don't know where we haven't used these in use at all, but I'm just going to show you the features that they're there and, you know, use caution. Also think this one does not do well with human features, hands, faces. It doesn't remove features well. Canva has a whole different tool called Magic Eraser. Of course, they had to separate the tools to remove elements. It's basically the exact same thing where you brush over something and then it will take it out. You can see it here right beside. If I wanted to remove this cow or this whole thing, it would work on it. This is a pretty simple image, and I've chosen this one very specifically to show you. You might have to go over it a couple of swipes, but this one has a very simple background, so it's easy to blur the mountain here. I'll show you in a second one that just absolutely did not work. So yeah, now it's gone. Now it's just a mountain. And you can get it to this space, but I won't in the interest of time. But if I had something that was more dominant element, like this milk carton, it's basically just blurring and trying to match color. So it's not going to do a good job of like high res details, or like you can see here, there's no grout lines in the wall, anything like that. So just be careful on what you're using it for. I would use it for really small things. I think in the Canva demo, they use it for like, there's a bird in the sky and they just take the one bird out and that's it. Same warning here. It produces really low res stuff. It can't do large or complicated areas of the photo super well. So use it for minor edits. The next AI feature that Canva has is called Magic Write. It's basically ChatGPT in Canva. I don't know how much people know about ChatGPT, but it's actually by the same company. It's just, text generation. It's only in Canva Doc, so you can't use it in like this presentation. You have to make a whole new document for it. And then it only does about 2,000 words per like generation, but you can kind of hack that by just doing different sections. It's good for brainstorming, refining, tweaking, editing. I would not personally use it for original content generation just because it does pull from things that already exist on the internet. And there's not really clear rules about like how to credit ChatGPT, the plagiarism stuff. Just be careful with it. So this is my document I've been playing with, and I'm actually just gonna go ahead and remove these. And this is the prompt that I've been using in Magic Write. Again, because I'm not thinking that creatively. I'm like, let's write a workshop description because I always struggle with those. So you just click and go Magic Write, and then you'll paste in that prompt and it'll do its thing. So this workshop will introduce Canva's latest AI powered tools and features. Participants learn how to use them and create visually stunning designs with ease. Pretty good. If I don't like it, you can go back into Magic Write and regenerate. You can also get it to summarize, expand. Again, you can make it rewrite it. It's not the most user-friendly with all the buttons you have to press to get to these commands, but you get the point, is that you can generate text and then you can pull from what you like from each of these and kind of make one together, is I think the best way to use this. Any questions before I go into Magic Design on these first three? Okay, I'm going to take silence again as understanding. The next one is Magic Design. I don't love Magic Design, and for reasons I'll show you, but it's basically a template selection tool, and it kind of, the whole point of it is just to reduce like your decision load, and Canva has these thousands of templates, and it's supposed to select like the best ones for whatever you're showing. I kind of doubt that claim, I'm not gonna lie, but I'll show you how to use it in case that's something you struggle with. So I have it linked here just for the ease of this presentation, but you can find it by going into the template selection. And you can either like, I think the easiest way to use it is to insert media. So I'll just go ahead and use some we already have. Like I have a bunch of headshots from something I was working on, and you click it and it'll pull these up for you. The biggest gripe that I have with Magic Design is that it doesn't brandify anything. It doesn't use our brand features to select templates. It doesn't like consider anything. So for example, this template right here is completely off brand. It's so much more work for me to brandify it than it is to just select like a simple template by myself. It also is giving you only one option pretty much for like most of these. Instagram posts, it has like 3, but like it only has one email signature. It only has one story. So it may be actually better to look through the templates, especially if you use Canva a lot. There's some that you could like favor, but again, you still have to go in, customize a template, and then you would have to go in and be like, this isn't one of our brand colors. Let's use this one. Let's do the font. So while it does do some of the work for you, it doesn't do the work that you really need to do. It just does the selection, which I think is more limiting than it is freeing, personally. The next one, and the last one actually, which is awesome, I'm speeding through these, is text to image. And this is kind of like DALL-E or Stable Diffusion, where you write a prompt and it makes a completely new image for you. Again, these are very low resolution images, and they're also kind of not like images we would use really in context. They all kind of look like paintings, even when you put in photorealistic or try to use the photo feature. Everything I've gotten looks kind of drawn. And I will say the one like gripe in the AI community is that it's sourcing these from artists who are already working and not crediting them. So how are we crediting these people or figuring out where it's pulling from is a big concern. But to use it, you type in text to image over here in the app panel. Text to image, this is showing you how I generated the cow eating an ice cream cone. You could do anything like, I don't know. I'm just sunny day with flowers. I have no idea. And then it'll generate. They're always square as well, which is also super limiting. I'm sure this technology will evolve where they're not, but you can see like if I blow this image up, and I'm going to use my layer shortcut here to move it to the front. It's not photorealistic. It looks like an AI generated image. And I really don't know when we would need that in our context creating for NC State, but here they are, and the technology may evolve where they could be useful. But not sure what that would be right now. So with that, that's kind of my part, and I'm going to turn it over to our social media specialist, Caro, and let you take the wheel. Oh, I'm going to have to end Canva live.
Hello. I'm going to go through just some social media best practices. Very simple. Please reach out to me through my email that's at the beginning of this if you have any questions that are a bit more in depth. But just some best practices for social media. Personally, I run the College of Agriculture, Life Sciences social media channels, as well as the NC State Extension social media channels. So personally, for my strategy, I do not use graphics that much, specifically not complex graphics or wordy graphics. A lot of social media algorithms will kind of downvote or just deprioritize a lot of words in graphics because they really prioritize media that is a bit more scroll stopping, and they really prioritize photo and video. So specifically, if you do need to make graphics, especially if you don't have access to a good photo, or you don't have access to photos at all for what you are trying to post about, refrain from using anything complex. This is especially important in Instagram feeds. When you're posting organically to Instagram, graphics do not perform well, or anything with words on it do not perform well at all on Instagram feeds. I even posted a picture of the Our State Magazine edition that featured Extension, and that had obviously words in it because it was a magazine, and it was downgraded by the algorithm because it had words in it, and I didn't even put those in there. So simple graphics with very little wording are more applicable for things like Instagram stories, and then Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I would personally prioritize a stunning image or a good image and especially video for those platforms than a graphic. But if you do need to make a graphic, keep it very simple and on brand with NC State, using a lot of those grids, just simple white space bars, and using the Canva font that is already in this brand kit. Keep wordiness to an absolute minimum. People don't want to read a graphic that has a ton of words. They probably won't read those words, but I would keep a lot of the descriptive content in the caption. Having the title of what you're trying to say, if it is an event that you are trying to promote, saying that this event is happening and maybe the date and location, is great for a simple graphic, but then putting everything else like the description of it, or any logistical details in the caption. All social platforms do reward you for using a form of media. It's pretty much a requirement to use photo or video or graphics if you want your post to do well. And yeah, make sure that the media you use is scroll stopping, simple, and straightforward. For some quick dimensions, I've got listed the simple dimensions for each platform. These are by no means a be all end all. These are the recommended dimensions that are provided by each platform. But Other than Instagram stories and reels, a lot of these can be customized and made to be different sizes. I've been experimenting a little bit with Square photos and videos on Facebook and Twitter. And those do great because they take up more of your screen when you're on a phone looking at those platforms. And so people are more likely to stop and look at it if more of their screen is taken up. I would refrain from using anything vertical, the sides of an Instagram story or reel unless you have to, just because that takes up so much of the screen that it can be kind of annoying to look at. But Square has been doing well, specifically on Twitter. Examples of some social media graphics to use when you are utilizing graphics. Instagram stories is a great place to do that. Doing something simple and eye-catching, and maybe a Instagram story that can tell a story through a number of posts. Again, keep that simple, keep the wordiness to a minimum. And if you are using things like the Instagram story stickers, keep just one or two of those in a singular story. If making it too complex is going to make people click through. So keep it simple and straightforward. Infographics are a great way to showcase research or data. Specifically, infographics do very well on LinkedIn. But again, keep them simple, keep the wordiness to a minimum, and keep them very easy to understand at first glance. Most people don't look at social media posts for very long, a number of seconds, if not less than a second. So keep it very punchy and scroll stopping. Event reminders, specifically if you don't have a photo for an event, are a good way to utilize graphics. I would refrain from doing that on Instagram feeds, but Twitter and Facebook are good platforms that you can utilize an event reminder graphic. But again, just keep it simple, keep it in line with the NC State brand. And additionally, in terms of Canva utilization, the Canva video tool is probably the feature that I use the most with Canva. It is a very easy way to create a video. It can't do many things that are complex that you could do in Adobe Premiere Pro, but it will put something together if you need to do it on the fly. They also have an audio library full of audio that is available with its copyright, that you can add to a video. It's simple. It's not songs that you're going to know, but it will add a little bit of punch to that video. I've linked in I believe it's from the design school, the video tutorial, and I've also linked in an example here of a quick video that I made for the extension anniversary from Canva. As you can see, I put together a number of clips, and it's very simple. There isn't a lot of text, but the text is at the end of the video and communicates very clearly and simply without a lot of wordiness. And this posted well. It is, again, another example of a Square video that I tried out. And that's all the information I have about social media right now. Please, again, feel free to email me if you have further questions.
Yeah, and on Canva video, there's also in last year's Canva workshop, if you didn't attend that, we did a very brief thing on Canva video as well. You can look there if you want some CalsComm knowledge of it. Before we hop into questions, I'm going to do a shameless plug for next month's workshop, which is going to be email design, primarily with MailChimp, just because that's what we use. Plug that. And then I'm also going to plug the design office hours if you have like specific one-on-one questions that need a little more in-depth, like hands-on Canva stuff. But other than that, what is everyone's questions so far? We have a good bit of time.
There's a
Andrew?
question in the chat about from Regina that says, how can I tell if something was downgraded?
It's not going to tell you specifically. Kind of the social media platforms, all of them change their algorithms all of the time. Understanding the science is very difficult to keep up with, but you will tell that it is just simply not doing well. It's not getting the engagement, it's not getting likes or retweets or comments, and it just seems like no one saw it. So that just means that the algorithm said, we don't want this promoted and we're going to downgrade it. I will say that videos are typically higher in the algorithm than other things. Instagram carousels are more prioritized than singular images on Instagram by far and away. And anything with faces in it or prominent people in it is prioritized pretty much on every platform. It is pretty difficult to understand the algorithm, and it's kind of a give and take and a trying out process, because it also depends on the audience that you have on your social media platform. But in general, keeping wordiness to a minimum, prioritizing personality and faces, and trying to make those things scroll stopping are the basic elements of that.
There was also a question about, does state have plans to get Canva licenses for employees, or is this something we still need to pay for? That's a good question. I don't know if the university has any plans to get licenses, but as of right now, it's something that you will need to pay for. Anything else? Any questions at all?
I have a couple questions about social media. If you're using a photograph, should you just let the photograph stand alone on its own, or is it helpful at all to frame it or caption it, or do you just let the caption reflect all the words? Like, should you, like caption a name if it features a person or an event?
Yeah, it definitely depends on what you're trying to communicate. If it is a very eye-catching photo, then keeping it alone is great. Specifically for Instagram feeds, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. However, if you need to communicate a little bit more, or if that photo isn't that eye-catching but communicates what you need to communicate, adding in a frame, adding in a short header about what it is you're trying to communicate, and keeping everything else in the caption is definitely advisable. It definitely just depends on the photo and if it is high res enough, if it's not that eye-catching or it's not high resolution, putting it in a graphic to make it a little bit smaller, make that lower resolution not very noticeable, would be a good way to handle that situation.
Also, what about using multiple images? So like on Instagram where you're swiping?
Yes. Instagram prioritizes those carousels where there's multiple photos in a post far more than singular photos. We try not at COWS or in the social media hub to use singular photos at all, unless there is truly only a singular photo that can be used for that thing you need to post about, because they do so poorly on the Instagram algorithm. Instagram and every single platform, the algorithm works to keep you on the app and to keep you scrolling for a longer period of time. They don't want you to leave the app, and they want to keep you engaged. So those carousels are prioritized, and they in the algorithm right now, they are prioritized higher than reels. So carousels are very important.
Can I ask one more? How about use of link trees?
Yeah, we use link in bio, linkinbio.com. Or actually it's linkinprofile.com. It's a little confusing. I am not positive about how that is paid for or if it is a paid platform that we use. But that very easily allows you to click on the link in the bio of your Instagram profile, and then it shows every single Instagram post that you have squared out, and you can just click on those. Linktree will just list all of the links that you have. And that's a little bit more difficult if you're linking out to things like stories or content or blog posts, because then you have to have a lot and people don't really want to look for that. Instagram does have a new feature where you can put up to 5 links in your profile right now. So if you just have a couple links that you need to put in your profile, that is very easy to use rather than another platform. But we use link in profile just to keep that very simple, and because we link out to a lot of blog posts and a lot of news stories, and it's a lot more simple that way.
I also went ahead and put in chat all the main links from this presentation. That way, if you need anything immediately, it's there before the email of all the session recap comes out. So hopefully you can access those. If you need anything, our emails are also on the screen. So I pulled this one up. That way you can email us directly. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. If not, thank y'all so much for joining us. Feel free to hang around if you want to talk to us one-on-one. We still have a little bit of time left in the session, but if not, have a great day. Happy Canva, happy social media. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.